Hello, hello, beautiful people. I wanted to make a quick video and recap my experience of this last session that I just finished last night, but officially this morning. The session here ends after Sunday breakfast, which we finished this morning, which was quite wonderful. And I had learned a few things that I wanted to share with you about this particular session, which happens to be my session number 16. As I've said many times before, you do not have to necessarily go to a session, or as many as I am currently. All that it takes is to have a proper teaching, a proper teacher, and proper community to practice with. And you can do that very well online by Zoom, particularly. And you can ask your questions with a solid teacher via email, which we have many generous teachers nowadays, for which I'm very grateful. So let's jump in. This session number 16 started rather difficult. I had a lot of jitters, but 2 or 3 days prior to departing from my home, I had car problems and I had to drive through the mountains to just go to Vancouver, to fly out of Vancouver after a couple of hours and change flights and so on. And I was getting jittery about it for last prior 2 days before the session, which is normal. The session itself went well. The one thing that I learned is how much we use thinking as self medication. I've addressed that before, but this particular time, sometime around day 3 or 4, I think it was, I was getting a lot of thinking. Thinking would just come up. And I tried my darnest to go past that thinking barrier and get into what I think is called no thought, but just in a tranquil place without thinking, not forcefully, but just deepening my practice of zazen, practice of meditation. But at some point, it was very difficult, and the harder I tried, the harder it would get. Of course, you don't want to force your way towards past the thinking. You just want to relax and sink into your practice, as my teacher always says. But this particular case, it just wouldn't happen, and all I could see is like a big wall, like a big dam, like Hoover Dam, huge wall that I could not penetrate. That was my thinking mind. Of course, I was I'm have a little bit of experience to know that forcing your way through doesn't work. So just relax into it, relax into the thinking, relax into my practice. I was content with whatever I could get. Sure enough, after about 2 hours or so, between 2.5 hours, I went from difficulty completely even stopped thinking for a few minutes to the deepest meditation I've ever had, literally. And the meditation was so deep, so wonderful, and just very deep and quite fulfilling. And that happens all the time. And the reason why I share that is because I don't even take this thing seriously. Sometimes you go from the hardest experiences in meditation to the most beautiful experiences within the same day. It happens so many times that I do not even take these things seriously when things that come up. So yeah, it was just wonderful. But I also realized that there is still part of myself that I guarded with this thinking, and I realized how often we use thinking as a form of self-medication. There might be parts of ourselves that is hurt from way, way back or recently. There are parts of ourselves that scare us. There's a yearning maybe for something better. Maybe there's a void in ourselves we cannot feel somehow. And we avoid it. And very often the way we avoid it is by thinking, consistently thinking. And that happened this time around as well, as it happens quite often in meditation as an intermediate. So yeah, it's we think about things all the time, And when we go deeper, our mind sort of tries to distract us with all sort of things. If you only think about this, if you only solve this puzzle, it's just a way to self-medicate. And because we do not want to feel the pain of just sitting and dealing with the emotions that come up. Those emotions could be sadness, those emotions could be anxiety, those emotions could be a variety of things depending on our history. So yeah, it's very very important to be mindful of it, practically, particularly during session. That when thinking comes, not to fight it, but just as my teacher always says, dive underneath it, see what's there. And for me, is just part of ourselves that I have not addressed or that I'm afraid to go deeper in. Or sometimes it's just part of a practice. It happens, and then you have to sit with it and be patient, and you go deeper. And that happened this time. I just had a wonderful experience of diving deeper into my meditation after this impossible wall of thinking. So, yeah, if this happens to you, it's normal. Just sink into it, go deeper in your practice, and that worked for me. Another thing that came up around maybe usually day 4 or 5 is what is called in Zen Makyo. Makyo is a part of ourselves, it's sort of ego, but not exactly ego, a part of ourselves that wants to prevent us from going further into our practice. The Buddha had it when Mara danced with her daughters in front of him. Um, Jesus had the same thing when, quote unquote, the devil, which is part of ourselves, came and told him that he will give him this and that if he stops doing what he's doing. And he said, nah, thank you. I'm good. And that happens to us as well. So sometimes during session, when you're meditating, all sorts of thoughts come up that seem so very urgent. Oh my God, I need to do this. Oh my God, I need to do that. Oh my God, what happens if this happens to my house if I'm away? Oh my God, I need to have relationships in my life. Oh my God, I need to make this business. Maybe I should get into real estate. Maybe I should go into this. Oh my God, wouldn't it be wonderful if I do this and that? And these ridiculous thoughts would come up at the Zendo, at the meditation hall in my mind. Like, oh yeah, if I become a Zen teacher, where would I open my Zen center? These are just ridiculous when you think about it, but they're real. They come up and they try to distract you. Thankfully, I have an amazing teacher and an amazing assistant teacher who always says, this is Makio. Even at one point, I said, well, how can I do this after my session? How can I practice? And she's like, no, 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 we're not going to talk about that. You're here, you're right now. Focus on your practice only. Let everything else go. So, yeah, lesson number 2 that I learned, Makio, let's call it our ego, tries to pull us away, and it has many, many, many faces. It's amazing how distractive it can be. It might be in form of fear, doubt, and the biggest one for me, and I think for everybody, is feeling we are not worthy. That's just the worst thing ever. We're not worthy for the practice. We're not worthy this or the way or that. And as my teacher always says, if you've had a difficult upbringing, that's even many times over more difficult sometimes for all of us, not for everybody. So yeah, it's important to realize Makyo. It's important to realize um, the sabotage that we do sometimes to not go deeper in our practice, because part of ourselves wants freedom, part of ourselves doesn't want it. It wants to stay things the way they are. So yeah, if it happens to you, just be mindful. As the Zen saying says that I really love is anything other than your koan and your breath work is a distraction. And gosh, is that ever true, particularly for me. So yeah, it is important to be aware of distractions and just go deeper. Sometimes we think something is super urgent, but it's not really when you come to think about it. Our freedom, our practice is the most important thing. And once we deepen ourselves, in my experience, when we deepen ourselves in our practice, then everything else falls into place. It's amazing. Since I've been practicing, even the relationships within my family with each other improves because they just feel this vibration, and they don't see anything in me that would agitate anybody. I mean, when I do my practice, obviously, there will always be drama with family. So that's number two. And number three, what I learned is that the further that I go into my sesshin, usually around day 6 and 7, towards the end, when I really go deeper, I easily get triggered. And our teacher was actually mentioning that earlier and for no reason before it happened, because she has a lot of experience with these things, obviously. And many things that seem normal would really deeply trigger me. Somebody would say something offhand, and I would somehow take it personally. Not intellectually. Intellectually, I would know, yeah, this is normal. Like somebody said this, or somebody asked me to do this. It's not a big deal. But deep down, there was be this tension that would arise, and I was wondering, why is that? Why is that I get triggered so much? So that's something to be aware of. Usually, when you go deeper, a part of yourself wants to distract you. It's like trying to feed um, a feral cat, a wild cat. It likes it enjoys it, but at the same time, it tries to hiss you and scratch you for whatever reason. So yeah, it was wonderful to be aware of, become aware of it. That yeah, I get triggered towards the end of the session. There's a lot of tension. There were a lot of issues coming up. Like my shoes just fell apart in the airport. Somehow the bottom. I sat down to do zazen, to do meditation, legs crossed, and all of a sudden the bottom of my shoes literally comes off. And I get up, and then the other one, the bottom, I don't know why, it just bloop fell off. And those were the only pairs of shoes that I had. And I started wearing my sandals in the airport all the way here during the session, which means that I could not go out as much, and that created a little bit of tension, and that's why I was so triggered by things. These are things to be mindful of. These are things to be aware of. And I asked my teacher afterwards. I said, well, "How should I deal with it?" And she said, "Just become aware of it and just put it aside. Just be aware. Don't make it your focus. Just be aware of it and put it aside and just observe it." And that's what I did intuitively, and that really worked. So you become aware of it. In my own words, in my own experience, is like you see it, you feel it, you experience it, and you let it go. You don't get entangled with it. It's just not worth it. Just yeah, okay, I'm pissed because such and such didn't give me this or did this or that. Yeah, I'm aware of it, but I'm not gonna act on it because that's childish. Let it sit. We'll figure it out. Okay, those are pretty much the three things that I learned. It was an amazing thing, and somehow around day 4 or 5, something in me changed. Part of me said, "You've been doing this for a year and a half. You need to really get serious about it somehow." And I renewed my vow to go past through the thinking mind and go into whatever is beyond. I just want to go across that barrier in my practice. I'm really focused on doing that. And so it was a wonderful, wonderful, amazing session. And I think everybody, our teacher said everybody, we were only a few. It was me, another person who was the assistant teacher, and another person came for part of the session. Januaries are usually not that busy here. And yet it was an amazing, amazing, amazing retreat. At some point we had a snowstorm and I was out there shoveling the snow in the driveways, the walkways, and I was using a broom to brush the leftover snow. And it dawned on me, there was no other place that I would rather be than in the Seshin. I love retreats. I absolutely love these. So that was a great moment for me to realize that this is my path and I need to get more serious about it. Not so more serious. I need to explore it further and go deeper. It is very, very important, and I highly recommend practicing feeling your way through, as my teacher always says. Feeling your way through when you're making decisions. Because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Do I want to meditate full time? Do I want to this and that? And I find it's very, very important. Just feel it. Just do it and feel it. Is work more important? Do the work and see if you feel somewhat hollow. It's okay to go back to your practice. So for me, it was important to see what plans for me work. And I felt my way through the sessions, through the retreat, and you realize that, damn, that's what I want to do. That's all I want to do. I want to do this full time. And at some point, I might even enter a monastery and do that full time. Who knows? Maybe yes, maybe no. But feeling my way through, as my teacher says, is a very, very important exercise to not this what the society says, not what the parents say, not what your partner says, but just feeling your way through of whatever you're doing. How does it feel? Does it feel right? Does it feel not so right? There were times when I was working up north, other places, and I was just swimming in money and life was good. But I felt hollow. I felt something that was missing. But now I'm doing meditation more or less full time. I still work occasionally, but that was but going to meditation retreats feels very, very much right. And I intend to do that, to continue doing that in the near future. Anyways, that's it for me. As you can tell, I'm still tired and very sleep deprived when I need to get some rest. So thank you for your patience. I'm all over the place, it seems. And I wish you all the best in your journey. Hey, who knows? If you want to do a online retreat, even a 1 day weekend retreat, go for it. Who knows? There might be a wonderful surprise for you. All right. Love you all. Take care and talk to you next time. Bye for now.